MacVoices is supported by Smile, the makers of world-class software like Text Expander. Find out about all their great utilities at smilesoftware.com. MacVoices is at NAB in Las Vegas. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we took a little break from the show floor to visit the Digital Anarchy suite in the Renaissance, and I get a chance to talk to Jim Tierney without the buzz and craziness around us. Jim, it's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks.
Speaking of craziness, we were supposed to get together at the Super Meet, and I couldn't get near the table. You were constantly mobbed with people really interested in everything you're doing.
Yeah, we launched Transcriptive here last year, and that's been really well received. We've gotten a lot of great feedback from the editors that are using it, and that's sort of defined the direction that we're going with what we're talking about here at the show. Which a couple things: transcriptive.com, which is allows collaborative editing of the transcripts. So you can send, if you're in Premiere and you have a transcript, you can send it to a producer or client. To transcriptive.com. They can edit it in a browser. They don't need Premiere, and then they can send it back to you, in Premiere. Because we're letting people, bring in transcripts for all their media, and adding that to the metadata of the media, whether you're using AI-generated transcripts, whether you're using human transcripts, whatever. We're coming out with a new panel called Power Search, which allows you to search the entire project for metadata.
And the metadata is important, I guess, from both an editing perspective, but also from a discovery perspective once the project is published.
Yeah, totally. Once you turn all your dialogue into text, you can do all sorts of really cool stuff. Obviously there's captions, there's search. So, with Power Search, you can, if you've got 50 clips, 60 hours of footage, like whatever, and you know what was said, but you don't know where somebody said it. Instead of scrubbing through like the 3 or 4 clips that you think has that quote or whatever, you can just type it into Power Search and it becomes like Google for your Premiere project.
Yeah, and how many of us have sat and scrubbed through, whether it's Premiere or Final Cut, trying to find, I know they said it, where did they say it, so I can either highlight it or cut it out or whatever, and it becomes a real pain to do that, and this solves that problem.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we realized, Transcriptive was originally like, hey, we do AI-generated transcripts. It does that for sure. But, what people started asking us for was, one, can you bring in human transcripts? And we can, as long as there's timestamps on it. We can bring that in and assign timecode metadata to every word in the human transcripts. And you get the same benefits as if you did it with AI. In terms of like searchability, in terms of being able to do paper cut, have somebody do a paper cut, send that to you in Premiere, and have us automatically assemble a sequence based on the paper cut. You transcribe 50 hours of video, you build your final hour-long documentary. You don't need to retranscribe that. You can just click rebuild in Transcriptive, and it's just going to pull the transcript from the metadata of all the clips you have in that hour-long sequence. So there's just lots of really cool things that you can do with having all your dialogue as metadata.
And I have to confess, I think when we talked about this last year, I was thinking more from an end user perspective of, okay, I've got this content and it would be great to have the transcript of that. I didn't fully appreciate what having transcripts would mean for the editing process, and it speeds the editing process, makes it a lot more precise, a lot easier. And the collaborative part is something new. That's really intriguing.
Yeah, well, part of the thing we were hearing from editors is that, the AI transcripts are pretty accurate, but they still need some cleanup.
Sure.
It doesn't really do, proper names very well, if you have company names, stuff like that. And one of the things we got back from editors was like, yeah, we really don't want to clean this up. Can we send this to a producer or a client and let them do that and then just get back the transcript? Transcriptive.com is really partially an answer to that problem. Yes, you can send it to somebody else. They can use a web browser. They don't need Premiere, and then they can send it back. But of course, with Transcriptive.com, you can also do, you can get the transcript via the website as well. So if you're, a podcaster or a journalist or something that's, not even doing video and you want to get transcripts, it becomes a standalone thing as well. But in the context of Transcriptive for Premiere, it really becomes this collaboration tool that hopefully makes people's lives easier.
Okay, so I got to ask, since I'm an Apple-oriented show, any indications that you might be supporting Final Cut eventually, or is this pretty much built just for Premiere?
No, I mean, we want to support Final Cut, actually, and we will. The problem with Final Cut is that really the only way to get the data in and out is via XML. And that's fine, and you can do some very cool things with it. But the reason we did it for Premiere first is that they have this HTML5 API. And so we have an entire web app running within Premiere. And we're able to connect to various parts of Premiere with that web app. And so it just gives you lots of really cool functionality that we're just not going to be able to do, within Final Cut. That said, we just did transcriptive.com. We're probably going to do turn the web app into a Mac app that again, communicates with Final Cut via XML. And so that some of the functionality will certainly be there. It's just not going to be quite as slick as what's going on with Premiere.
Well, that's good to hear. And it's also good to have you explain it as to why, because the architecture of the two is just completely different, and one gives you more flexibility. I don't know which one gives you more control, but that's up to you. Yeah,
I mean, anytime you have more API stuff, you have more ways to control it. Final Cut's great if you want to push pixels around, but that's really what their API is built for. Is just Beauty Box or Flickr Free or whatever. Where we're manipulating pixels in one way or another. For doing sort of like these workflow solutions, it's a little bit harder because the API is just not necessarily built for that. Will they eventually add something that's a little bit more flexible in that way? I hope so. And if so, you will definitely see Transcriptive for FCP like ASAP. But right now it's just, we need to build an app and then we need to make the XML workflow work. And so that's just taking a little bit of time.
Can we see some of it?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
All right, totally.
So this is Jim's desktop. We're inside Premiere, and we're going to see Transcriptive.
Yeah, so the way it works is we are a panel within Premiere. It's accessible through the extensions panel, or extensions menu. It's not a normal plugin. It's, like I said, it's a HTML5 app running within Premiere using the extensions API. So it's a little bit different. And so once you're in here, you can get your transcript in a couple different ways. You can, of course, click the transcribe button and get it through one of our AI partners. And so AI is a great way of doing it if you've got well-recorded audio. If the person enunciates pretty well, they're mic'd up, there's not a ton of background noise. SpeechMax handles background noise better than our other partner, Watson. So we generally recommend SpeechMax. You're going to spend less time cleaning it up, and that's always a good thing. And so we'll cancel that. So this is how you would get a AI-generated transcript. And you can see there's options like identify speakers, identify questions, stuff like that. And we'll cancel that. The other method would be to import a transcript. And if you have a human-based transcript from, say, a transcription service, you can take a plain text file, and as long as that has timestamps, we can import that and do what we do with the AI-generated transcripts, which is give every word timecode. So as I click on every word in my transcriptive panel, you're going to see the time marker jump to the place where it's spoken. So I can jump around, and the time marker is going to move just to that spot. And the awesome thing about this is that it allows us to search. So if I type in something like, you'll see I have 10 instances of this. It'll show me all of the places that this happens. As I move through this, it's going to move the time marker to the place where that word is spoken. And so the fact that every word has time code, every word has metadata around what clip it's part of, allows us to do a lot of really interesting, cool things. And search is just one of those things. Of course, you can export as captions. So we support SRT, VTT, SCC, SMPTE, many different caption formats. Of course, you can save it out as a text file. So if someone wants to do a real paper edit, You can save it out. You can print it out with time code, speaker names, all that good stuff. And of course, the great thing is we can also send this to transcriptive.com. And you can see that you have all the same editing capabilities, and this is a different movie than what we have here, but just as an example of moving between the back and forth between transcriptive.com and Premiere, you can see we have all the same editing functionality. If I click on this, I can go into edit mode. I can make changes. Obviously, I'm just making some examples here, but we can click on other areas. Start typing in here. You basically have a full word processor for editing transcripts. And then once you're done with that, you can go back into Premiere. You can load in that transcript. And so once I get this transcript back from transcriptive.com, if it's a paper edit, in this case I'm going to manually do that. So I'm going to delete a few things here. Delete some text. I'm going to come down here, delete some more text. And what can happen is we can create a sequence based on the paper edit.
Now, before you go on, define a paper edit for me. What does that mean in terms of this?
So a paper edit is basically a producer going through, editing the text file, editing all the text, saying like, all right, I want to delete this portion. I want to, clean up this bit, basically just going through and doing a pre-edit on just the text, saying like, all right, we definitely don't need this sentence. We don't, he talked about this thing that we really don't care about, so let's delete this section over here. Let's delete these ums and ahs, and basically just editing the text to make a rough cut, essentially. And then once we're back in Premiere with that edit to the text file, we can click on conform and it'll automatically build that for us. And so you can see that it's created our edits where we deleted the text and updated the transcript for that. So
wow.
So it's a really powerful way of just really changing the way people edit, because like when you're doing a paper edit on transcriptive.com, again, we have time code for every word, and so when that's sent back, we know where the cuts were made. We know what clip it was coming from, so we can just automatically build all that stuff there. And for this, it's not that impressive, but imagine a 45-minute sequence where you've gone through and done a lot of edits on it. Automatically just creating that from scratch while the editor gets a cup of tea is a pretty powerful thing.
Now, have we lost that information? I mean, obviously it's been cut out of this project, but if the producer then says, hey, I think I want this back, I know they said it, I think I want it back, how difficult is that to achieve?
No, so all the metadata is still attached with the file. So, in this case, we might, that's not what I want to do, but, all right. So in this case, we might, just expand out that selection. And because all the metadata is still saved with the original file, so if we come back in here to the metadata panel, we can see that we still have all the metadata there. If you add in a section later, you can then rebuild the transcript again, and it'll build it from scratch. So no data is actually lost. It's just, if you cut something out, it's just cut out in the sequence, but you haven't actually changed anything in the original file.
Again, this is great because it gives us an idea of what this can mean as far as transcription-based editing and how it works and why it would be such a huge time saver.
Yeah, it's just, it's really just bringing in a whole new level of editing, into Premiere, and just allowing you to edit with text, allowing you to have just all of this metadata just built into your project, and having it searchable, allowing us to build transcripts, allowing us to build sequences, just many different ways of working with it.
Jim, thank you for this, because again, and especially transcriptive.com, it gives me a better understanding, I guess, of why the collaboration-based transcriptions and the editing of those would be so powerful. What is the pricing for all this? How does this work?
So Transcriptive, the panel, is $2.99 per seat, and that's a perpetual license. We'll probably do upgrades at some point, but most of the updates are free. And then when you get it transcribed with the AI, there's different pricing for the different engines. So Watson's about 2 cents a minute. Speechmatics is between 5 and 7 cents a minute. But Speechmatics is much more accurate. And so for the additional pennies that's going to cost to get Speechmatics, that's usually what we recommend. It's just going to be much more accurate, especially if you've got a noisy background. Speechmatics really is the way to go. So that's 7 cents a minute at the most. And then if you want to have a producer sign up for transcriptive.com so they can use that, that's going to probably be like $15 a month to use that.
The only other thing that I can think of to ask that I should have asked earlier, so let's say I have an hour-long project that I send to Transcriptive, and I'm picking an hour as an arbitrary thing. Mm-hmm. How long does it take to get the transcription back?
Speechmatics is super fast, so it's going to be 3 to 6 times faster than real time. So, an hour-long transcript, it'll take about 10, 15 minutes to get back.
That's ridiculous.
That's great.
Jim, thanks so much. The website where folks can learn more about all this and maybe get it for their projects.
Yeah, so you can download the Transcriptive panel from digitalanarchy.com. There's free trials available, so you can sign up for that. And transcriptive.com, we're going into public beta in about 2 or 3 weeks. You can sign up for the public beta. Just fill out the form that's on transcriptive.com, and you'll be good to go.
Thanks so much for the time and for the look at this. This is really very educational and very informative, and at least now I hope the viewers and listeners get a better idea of what it can mean for film editing.
Yep. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Folks, more from NAB in Las Vegas. I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group and get more out of your Apple Tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices and join these folks who help keep MacVoices coming to you. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.